All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so back and fired up. Today, we're going to be covering a whole lot of the laws of the universe. Now, I'm not going to go into a full, deep study or a class here tonight, but what I will tell you is the reason you are not winning at life is because you don't understand the rules of the game. Had you understood the rules of the game, you could be winning a lot more than most of the time. And tonight, we're going to talk about our own personal experiences, how we had things kind of going on a decline, and then we turned it back around by making a few different tweaks from our personal experiences. And your strategic partners today are so ready for you. And I hope you are. Let us know where you're chiming in from. And if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to love us. So let us know where you are. This is your Strategic Partner Show. Let's go.
I've been caught up since the day that we met, and you haven't seen the best of me yet. There's nothing like you and me together, and your eyes have been so hard to forget. But there's something you're trying to hide. There's something you're keeping inside. But I'm trying to get to know you much better. It don't matter how much time it takes. I just can't give up. Whoa, I just can't give up. Can't give up. I just can't give up. I just can't give up. I just can't give up. Can't give up. I just can't give up. I just can't give up.
We are so ready to rock. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of the Strategic Partner Show. And tonight, we got to come back like it never happened before. Mr. Takoya Carlton is back after a couple of weeks, and he celebrated Mom's life. We gave her kudos last week for all the amazing things and the legacy she absolutely established for herself. And of course, we took off a week in her honor the week prior to that. And Mr. Carlton, we're so happy to see you. We're loving on you. We're loving on the family. We were excited to see you yesterday with Junior and your oldest, and you guys just were full of celebration, full of smile, which is the right thing to do to honor Mom. So welcome back, my friend. How are you feeling? You look amazing. Only if we can hear you, it'll be perfection.
Good stuff, man. I tell you what, that's the old school in me, man, muting myself out. But again, man, here's the thing. I'm super excited, really, blessed to be here and just to have family. I mean, it was amazing the last week and a half. I literally had a chance to meet family I've never met, never heard of, never seen on a picture or anything, just cousins, aunts, all kind of stuff. And it was just awesome, man. So many people showed up because my mom left a legacy, and of course, so many people were impacted by my mom over the last, 40 years. It's just amazing, man. Just the love that we receive, and having my sons there, that was the highlight of everything. Just having them there to be with me and support me and hold me up, and then of course, just to see their smiles and their happiness as well. So yeah, man, it's been awesome.
Welcome back, my friend, and let's celebrate Mom every single day, shall we?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Right on. And the one and only from Massachusetts, because it's nice and hot up there right now, Debbie Paltola Salmons. How you doing, Rockstar?
I'm doing great, and look, it looks like I got a heat wave going on behind me. It's just crazy. I love technology, right? I got a green screen going. I got all kinds of stuff, and hey, listen, it is what it is. Takoya, we missed you. We absolutely honored your mom, and we all have to honor our moms every single day, right? We won't go down this rabbit hole, but let's just say that parenting is not an easy task, right? And we all do the best we can do, and we rise up. And then there are many that are really, really special. And from what I hear about your mom, she was really, really special.
Yeah.
So kudos, to your mom, and blessings to you and your family. And, there isn't anything better really than family coming together in those moments, because, we all get so busy in our lives. And I know we're going to even talk about all this, right? But it's those moments that ground us, right? That
Yep.
ground us
Absolutely.
to life and each other. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hey, may I have permission to do a real-time coaching moment?
Yep,
please.
go ahead.
So in your dashboard in the bottom, it says settings, go to virtual background, and then there's a line that you can adjust the visibility of your green screen. Now just keep on adjusting until you get the perfect.
Ooh,
No,
hey,
Right
how's
there.
that?
There-
How's that?
no, we need
You're
to see you.
going now.
There
Perfect,
you go.
perfect.
Perfection, baby. There
See
you
that?
go.
Guys, coaching 101 in live time. And it
Yes.
doesn't matter. We always need coaching.
Yes, indeed. All right. So let's get, first of all, there's a very, very important training that's taking place tonight. It is 100% complimentary. I'm going to be calling that out as a call to action throughout the whole session. So at 7 p.m., immediately after we drop, we're probably going to drop a couple of minutes before 7. And your strategic partners are bringing the heat tonight from mindset, from process, from discipline, from behavior, from activity, all the things that we like to cover on our day-to-day grind. We're going to give it to you. And of course, I personally, I'm going to go deep into business development 101, social media from Instagram to Facebook, how to leverage and create 30 conversation each and every single day, how to convert a conversation and chop it up in a personal manner, how to not be the salesperson, rather be a business person, a professional consultant and advisor. You have a book, you have a story to tell. I'm going to teach you all those things. And of course, with your strategic partners in here, we're also going to maintain a healthy portion of the training on an open Q&A session. So you can ask, how do you, and we're going to definitely cover it for you. But tonight, you know, in our careers, we have gone through many downs and a few ups. And usually the few ups make up 10 times more than those many downs, right? That's where you get the hero story. Tonight, we're going to identify and dissect. I went ridiculously deeper, Mr. Carlton. If you're wondering, I listened to this new book called 12 Universal Laws, literally, I think 30 times already. Now, it is the shortest book you could probably listen to because it's only 39 minutes. And I've had that thing on my ear like for the last week and a half, almost 2 weeks. So I can spit him out with my eyes closed, and I learned so much more. The funny thing is, at first, it started with 4 elements of the law of attraction. And then I realized the law of attraction is a sub-law of the law of vibration. And I realized the law of vibration is one of the laws of the 7 universal laws. And then I realized there are sub-laws that makes it 11. And then I realized there are elements and agreements. There are over 60 different things that you need to learn to understand creation, universe, the relationship with divine. And it's incredible. And I am so excited about the journey. If you are not excited about your journey, you are on the wrong path. So let's talk about that. So one of the things that, you know, is intriguing is many times, as a matter of fact, Vanessa Jackson, if she jumps on at any point, shout out to you, Vanessa, if you watch this on a replay. She hit me up a couple of days ago and she says, hey, you know, you talk about we are the creators of our own circumstances and our own elements. She's like, how about babies when they get kidnapped? How about, you know, like pedophilia? Like, how are they creating exactly that circumstance? Like, isn't that like unfair, illogical in a sense? And you know, I shared with her, like, well, what you fail to understand is that there are many other elements and variables, because right now there are 3 of us who are co-creating one circumstance and one situation. So while I might be perfect in every single way, if the 2 of you are compromised in your thinking and you're compromised in your behavior and your action and your intentions and everything that you're putting out physically and non-physically, you are by default impacting me. So this is why I always tell people, protect your circle, protect your environment, because I could be doing it all perfectly right. And again, Tokoyo and I, if you remember, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the example of Destiny's Child and Beyonce, right? Like, she became Beyonce the moment she isolated herself. Jay-Z became Jay-Z the moment he removed himself from Rockefeller Records, and so on and so forth, right? So it's extremely important for us to understand and identify the law of divine oneness that makes us all created in one element. It's like a bucket of water, multiple different colors, balls in it, but one ball is touching and moving the other one to the different side of the angle of that bucket. By default, we are impacting one another. How do you identify, and let's start with you, Debbie, do you I want to say understand, but do you identify with the idea that everybody around me is impacting me, even if I were to be a baby? Because a baby since birth is pure in thoughts and energy and in connection to that higher divine power, right? So how is the baby going through all of that? Well, how are the parents before the baby was born and while the baby is around? What kind of energy are they attracting physically and non-physically onto that baby? Please, if you can give us some elaboration, and of course any examples that you'd like to use from your own personal example.
Yeah, no, and it's great. And, you hear that discussion a lot. Again, I don't want to push my faith on anyone, but you'll hear that same kind of, I don't want to call it argument, but discussion when it comes to God, where if there was a God, why would he allow, right? Why would he allow these things to happen? And that is because we are all co-creators and because we are all born with our own free agency, right? We some of us are learning these universal laws, the commandments, whatever you want to call them, but everybody's at a different phase of development, not just intellectually, but culturally, where you're from, how you're brought up. To me, that exact discussion explains it even more, how we are all divinely connected. Because you're correct. We can be kind of doing everything on in our own self and our own close proximity really, really well. But we are part of a bigger whole, and we cannot be unaffected. But what we can do is control, like you say, and be very vigilant about what we let in and what we allow, right? I mean, there's no real rule books out there when I think of parenting, right? So we model behaviors first and foremost. So we're going to continue that. If there's a negative pattern, we're going to carry that on. If there's a positive pattern, hopefully we'll carry that on. So we absolutely affect babies. Babies are not born with fear except of sound, right? They will react, right? But they're not born with fears. They learn those fears from interactions, people, but all around them, right? So to me, that argument or that discussion that I've had just endless amounts of times about, bad things happening to good people. Why would God or why would the universe, whatever you choose to call it, allow something tragic and bad to happen? And it's because we are co-creators and we don't have control over the other co-creators, but we can control ourselves. At a certain age, babies cannot, right? They can't. Our little ones. Right. That's why our little ones and our babies are so unbelievably valuable, right? And what happens to them in the first, 6-7 years of their life, it affects an entire lifetime, where they often have to go undo some of the things that maybe, came in with them. So first and foremost, learning, educating, reading. I'm on your heels with reading, Ali. I've always been reading and love it, right? Because until we know better, we can't do better. But once we know better, then we can. And now we change that co-creating process.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. Tokoyo.
Good stuff. I think really I'm what Debbie said was right on point. I look at everything and listening to both of you guys. It's life is like dominoes. It's like playing blackjack. And, Ali talked about people being in the circle and not letting them influence the way he is and the way he reacts and the way he deals with certain things. And so I believe, like, again, you brought up what Vanessa said, Vanessa Jackson actually said about, kids and things of that nature. And I was looking at a documentary actually recently where they were talking about the human child is the most, what's the word? They're the most vulnerable of any baby because it takes so long for us to mature, to grow. So they're the most vulnerable of all babies that are being birthed, right? You talk about all the animals and fish and all this stuff.
Different species, yeah.
Yeah, different species and all that. So again, here's the thing. I truly believe that once you know you can do better, and again, we heard it say, if you know better, you ought to do better, right? And I think that's so true. And I go through like years and years and years of just seeing and meeting people, and you see the stuff that they're going through. And as a outsider looking in, you're like, okay, why don't they just, right? And it's like, it's so simple to us, the people who are bystanders, who are watching and seeing what's going on with that person. And you just want to and you can't go help them because sometimes people just aren't ready right then and there. So no matter how good you're, positive or influential and whatever it is that you do, if that person's not ready to receive it, they just won't get it, right?
Yep.
Everything happens for a time or a reason or season, right? And so again, that's why it's so important that we do connect ourselves to people who are going where we want to. Even if we don't know what we want at that time, find someone in your life that is positive, that's doing something right? And even if it's not, they may be a doctor, but of course, hey, I'm not going to be a doctor. But what they're doing is helping people, right? They're leading a certain lifestyle, right? So again, we've got to entrench ourselves, and if that's what you're interested in today, as you watch this and listen to this, in bettering your situation instead of thinking in lack. Like, okay, I was brought up this way where it's got to be this way. I was brought up in the hood, so it's got to be the hood. That's where the people are. That's where I'm at. That's not the case. That's only because you chose to stay there. You say, well, I don't have enough money to get out of there. Well, guys, listen, if you want something bad enough, you'll find a way, you find a how, right? And so that's why I want to encourage everyone, if you want to change your life, get around someone who, again, like I said, everyone has a different magnet. And when I say magnet, let's say someone like a Ali or Debbie, right? There's certain people that Debbie may repel, but Ali attracts, and vice versa. So again, find that person that you are attracted to, and then of course do as they do, right? And again, you may not have to do everything that they do, but again, take bits and pieces that help you to progress. Yeah. And so again, that's just where I'm at on that.
I love that last part that you said. If I can piggyback on that, take on what you like take on the bits and pieces. Another piece, going back to Vanessa, just by the way, Vanessa, if you're watching this, I'm so using our conversation. Like, we've had so many conversations since last week. Because Vanessa is the type of person that will come back to you and be like, well, that doesn't make sense. And in a positive manner, like, speak her mind and push back in a positive manner, right? And it opens up like great discussions. And by the way, if you're watching, let us know what is your take on how you are creating your own life and what's your perspective on that? How much control do you have on your creation on life? And so at times, just so you know, for those who say, well, I can't be positive all the time, I can't be happy all the time, no one says you are. I'm a human being. I flip out sometimes too. Yeah. But here's the thing. You can use a negative notion or a negative emotion to get to a lesser negative emotion. I'll give you an example. Let's say you are in deep depression mode. You are so miserable in every single way. And if you can find your way to go to and I don't condone guns, or I'm not against them, I'm just using this as an example. You go to a gun shooting, what do you call it?
A range.
And you're like, you know what? Give me that sheet. I'm going to write all those problems that I have, and I'm just going to light it up, and I'm so mad at you, and I'm just going to shoot that, right? So what you've done is you used anger to get yourself out of depression. Now, that, and you know, how many times we're like, I'm glad I got that out of my chest. My goodness, right? Like we scream or we yell, or so you don't put so much pressure on yourself and be harsh on yourself. Just understand that you are getting yourself from a deeper place. And grieving is, for example, one way of doing that. Like, you find people that go from a really, really deep place to finding ways to elevate their emotion while, okay, I'm using this thing that really was hurtful, and now it's becoming a positive, happy, celebratory event, right? And I know you can obviously elaborate on that, Mr. Carlton, just based on Mama. We love you. I know she's watching right now. She's like, look at my boy go. Yeah, without a doubt. So another piece that was very interesting to me, I was on a webinar with a couple of gentlemen this afternoon, and one of the guys was talking about, I try to be positive. I try to do everything the right way. I try to be happy. I try. And I just feel like I'm no matter what I do, I'm just not moving. And first of all, the world that we live in operates on the law of vibration, and law of vibration is just motion. That's all there is. Here's what I will tell you. Go to whatever wall in your house. That doesn't get any more still than that. Put your ear on it silently. You will hear stuff. That is energy in motion. And it may be the winds from the outside. Go in your pool in the water and just go under it and just sit. I love to do that. I just hear stuff. Like I'm like, oh my God, I just heard my finger crack. Like it's so amazing, right? So that is energy. Like the vibration is always just simply motion. Everything will always go in motion, and it'll always either attract or go away from you, right? So it's not so much that I'm not moving, it's that you are stuck in the same circle, and that is because there is one sub-law of the law of attraction and law of vibration, which is law of action. Law of action says you will not get anything without putting work to it. You have to move. And you hear it in faith, you hear it in philosophy, you hear it in every different areas. What do you always hear? It's simply this: God will open doors for you. You still got to go in. And sometimes God will open 20 doors. You got to go in the first one and you get slapped. You're like, that was the wrong one. All right, I got you. You got a sense of humor. And then you go in the next one and you fall down. You're like, my goodness, I got to be aware of my face, and I got to be aware of what's you're learning and growing, right? So you have to have law of action. Please, for those of you who say, I know all about the law of attraction, there's a secret word in there. After attract, there's action. Yes. You are to act. You are to take action. I don't care how much you meditate. I don't care how much you zen. I don't care how much you ground. I don't care. All those things are great, but all they do is they just create a frequency communication level between you and the divine, the higher source power, God, right? You just have to act on it. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I needed a new CPA, somebody who need to help me with the profit and losses and different things like that. And I got a recommendation of a CPA. No offense if you're watching, dear CPA. And that CPA, I mean, you know me, I call it spade a spade. And then I get on a call and I'm just like, hey, so here's what I need. I will send you statements, whatever you would need. Can you just give me an idea when I should expect an answer on what it will take? In other words, you're going to look at everything and then you're going to come back to me and say, hey, it's going to take me a month, a week, whatever it is. And then I got like, I don't know. I was like, what do you mean you don't know? I'm like, what do you have? 4 transactions? It might take me a week. I got to look at it. I'm like, I understand what I'm asking you after I send you my statements, how long it would take you to give me an estimate of time and cost. Oh, well, give me 2 days and I'll come back to you. I just did not like that.
Yep.
Somewhere in here in these beautiful vibes, I was like, yeah, I didn't like that. So I was like, listen, I'll tell you what, I'm actually going to pull away. I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule and give me 5 minutes, but I don't think I'm going to send you anything. Is everything okay? I'm like, everything is great. I just get a feeling that this is not a good fit for me and you. Like immediately, right then and there. And it was so, that felt good, put me in a happy place. And I just moved on and found somebody else, right? So in your examples, in your life, and we can chop it up however you guys see fit, how do you act, or do you ever find yourself, and please be transparent if you found yourself getting that vibe, but you ignore it, or you're doubting, or you're questioning, like how do you cope with that?
I'm not really good at jokes or stories, but I have to just kind of tell you, I don't know if you guys have ever heard.
That was funny, by the way, just the fact that you said that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we know that ain't true.
So have you ever heard the story where, there's a flood, right? And the flood's coming up in the house and the people are moving from the first floor to the second floor and they're praying and they're like, God, save me, whoever save me. And, there's a boat that comes by and they go to the second story and they're like, God, save me. And the helicopter comes by and they're, God, save me, go to the roof. And then there's a diver that goes by and they go, God, why didn't you save me? He sent 3 things. Right?
Boats,
helicopters, divers. Pick one. Take an action, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and that really is what it is. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to be 100% transparent. I have, over the past, I'd say 7 months, encountered a couple of times where I have felt inertia. And I find that as a better word than stuck, because I agree with you. We're never stuck. We're always in motion. It's just sometimes we're going around like this, right? Inertia more applies to my ability to force myself to take that action. right? And so I think what we find is a lot more people are stuck in inertia, or not stuck. They're in inertia. They're not stuck because we've sent them a boat, we've sent them a helicopter, we've sent them a diver, and they're going, yeah, but save me. And the save me is not taking the action. And for whatever reason, they don't take the action, whether it's fear, whether it's, old habits. And, you just, every single coach, every single podcast, every single book that you read is going to talk about action, right? In the Bible, faith without works, right? It's work, it's action. What I recognize is I don't like, it always goes back to feelings with me. I don't like the feeling that I get when I recognize inertia, because what that means is it's not congruent in myself, right? Because I'm desiring something, but I am not enacting to get it. And so there's a frustration level, right? It's like there's a ceiling and there's a floor and there's this resistance in each of it, but it's in me. So when I recognize that, I have to do something. And just like you said, whether it's emotional, it's depression, or whether it's action in your business or in your health and fitness, it doesn't matter. It's all the same, right? I've got to shake it up and do something different. But what I have to personally be very cautious of, because there's nobody in the world harder on me than me. And if I want to achieve that and I'm not getting there, I'm going to beat myself to a pulp to get out of inertia, right?
Yeah.
What I've had to learn is to accept just what you described, those small movements out of that state, right?
Hey, Takoya, did you catch it when she was there's no one harder on myself? She said there's no one hotter than myself. Did you catch
I
it?
heard that. This is
Snuck it right in there.
glowing.
They're like, just so you know, there's no one hotter than myself. All right, girl.
Oh, wait, listen,
I'm
my
too
husband.
hot
My
for
husband
this
always
show.
say that.
Keep it in manifestation, baby. Let's go. There ain't nobody hotter than me.
Was that my Massachusetts accent? Hotter.
I like it. I like it. Get the car. Go ahead, Takoya.
Hey, real quick, I just got to send a shout out, man. I was just showing a message and I saw Lily here, and I'm like, Lily, that's an incredible hat. I love it.
Yes, indeed. Miss Lily Gray, man. Her, she's the kind of person that just sticks with it no matter what. And
Right.
I totally appreciate that. Yeah. So Takoya, how do you cope with action? No, it's all right. We love the dog. How do you cope with action? Or lack thereof. I mean, you and I have had many conversations over the years of like, man, I don't know what it is. I feel like sometimes you lose the gas, sometimes you lose that excitement, sometimes you just fall into a trap of a routine. Like, what is it, and how do you get back into action?
Right. So real quick, I've been there many times. And if you sit here and you say you've never been in that situation, you're
lying.
Yeah, you're lying if you've never had that moment where you felt like you were stuck in the mud, right? And so again, I've been there, and Ali knows he knows a lot of stuff about me, and we've had some conversations, and I'm always honest with him. He's a person I can be honest with.
That's what happens when you cuddle in the same bed. I'm kidding. I am kidding.
Okay, wait a minute. What are we talking about now?
Yeah, that was kind of that wasn't okay. But here's the thing, man. So the whole thing is I've been there, and it took me a little while because you know what's so funny? You know how everyone has that friend or family member or coworker or just someone who, whenever you're going through something, right? They've always got the answer. But when they're going through something, it seems like they continue to perpetuate that same old situation. And that was me. So like, even while I was stuck in the mud, even while I was still just trying to figure it out, even while I was still trying to, how does this thing work? What do I got to do? Whatever. I was always that person that someone can call and immediately snap into fixing someone else's situation or telling them the best, thing to go. So sometimes, even though you know better, you don't always do better. Right. And so that was me. So I was going through that situation. And the way I got out of it, guys, is first of all, I just didn't quit.
Yeah.
Ali knows I've been through this deal. I went to this deal. Because sometimes you have to try different avenues, different ways, different methods, different companies, different people to find that thing. Like a previous company that we were part of, right? I would probably never have joined that company. Other than Ali, I would have never joined the company. Just being honest. I would have never joined that company if someone else would have presented it to me, right? I joined it on the strength of Ali, right? So I got in, but it was because of that situation. It started to change me because, again, getting in a different surrounding, getting around different people, thought different than me, looked different than me. Matter of fact, I was probably the only 5 people in the company that looked like me, right? And so again, going there, I was able to kind of get around some folks to get me start thinking differently, and of course started to move and see myself in a better light. So sometimes you have to step outside of your norm, which is something, again, you're used to that, right? And sometimes being used to a situation can keep you in that situation, right? Even if you're having success, just staying in that situation and not, expanding your horizons, not expanding yourself outside of the box, you can find yourself trapped. And of course, you're just sitting there. Yes, you're being successful, but you're not hitting the lid, right? You're not hitting the roof. You're not, you're not getting out in as high or becoming as successful as you can because, again, you're stuck in the same routine. And so that's one of the things I admire about myself is that I've always been willing to take chances. So again, I'm going to say, first of all, being willing to take chances. Second of all, always continue to move forward, whether you're stuck in the mud, whether, your life just seems like it's just not together. You always have to move forward. Here's one thing that I do, guys, on a daily basis, actually, because sometimes on a daily basis, we have to kind of figure it out. There's hours in the day. Let me say hours. I don't never let anything go for an hour, but there's minutes in the day where I'm just like, man, I'm not, like I started working out in the mornings, right? Getting up, going out and working out every day. As y'all can see, I've lost some weight. So I don't know if y'all can tell,
Yeah,
but the whole thing is that getting up every morning, you hear that alarm and you don't want to go. One of the things that I do personally, I either yell like, right? Got you, Ali. That was that baby syndrome. He's a baby, so whenever you hear loud noises, he
woke me right up.
And so the other thing I do is this: I'll be in my car with my kids. They already know that I'm getting focused. I just clap my hands like this, and I may do it 3 times. And I got that off the Will Smith movie. When he comes out, he gets the job, and he goes.
I know exactly what you mean.
And it just makes me feel good, and it gets me back in the grind, and it gets me focused. So find that little trick inside of yourself. If you have to do it multiple times a day, find that thing that gets you going, right? Let that energy out so that you can go out and go, right? So again, here's the thing, guys. No matter how small the growth, how small the movement, how even if it seems like you have not gone anywhere, understand you've went somewhere just in going.
Yep.
Because you never go forward without learning. That's our whole life. Our whole existence is learning on a daily basis. All the things, we're going to forget most of the things that we've learned along the way, right? As we get older. But at the same time, it's those things that we learn every single day, every week, every month, every year that compound to bring us to where we are today. So that's why it's important that you give yourself a chance to grow. That's why it's important that you surround yourself with different people. So again, if you're normally around like me, I like to hang around, different, cultures and, ethnicities, all that stuff. Because again, if I just hang around the brothers, then we're just talking brother stuff, right? We're talking hood stuff. We're talking, around the neighborhood stuff. I want to talk about bigger and better things. I want to expand my horizons. So again, if you're stuck somewhere, change the people, change the circles, change the folks that you talk to often. And even if you can't talk to them because you don't know who to go to, there's always audio. There's always books. There's always YouTube. You can go and find someone who interests you and holds your attention, because that's important for me. Because if it doesn't hold my attention, even if it's great information, I'm not ready to receive it, or it just doesn't do it.
You got to connect. Yeah.
Right. Got to connect. So those are the things, guys, the tips as far as moving forward is not staying stuck where you are. Continue to move forward. Even if you're bumping your head against the wall, you're still moving forward and learning from it. And eventually you'll grow from it.
And it's spot on. And the next piece, that this is probably the biggest revelation for the many, because Everybody thinks nothing about the positive. Like it's supposed to be all great. It's supposed to be all dandy. And the next piece that I want to talk about is necessary, and it's going to put a lot of things in perspective, right? But before we do, 7 p.m. Eastern, exactly in 24 minutes, we are going to be giving a live hour and a half like never before. Your strategic partners right here, right now, from business essentials to mindset to operations to systems, everything you could ever desire and wish for to start, grow, or scale a business. And guess what? It's free. So I am zoom.info. That's IAM zoom.info, as simple as that. And you can join us at the top of the hour. Now let's go ahead and talk about the suckiest of all of their laws. That one that nobody, even if they know, they don't want to recognize. And that is the law of relativity. And that states that you must have problems in order to grow. That problems, they're not actually to put you and pin you down. They're to allow you to grow in your mind, to grow and operate at a much higher frequency. So when things are going bad for you, I spoke to a gentleman this afternoon who, guess what? His first home that he and his family purchased burned down to the ground on fire. And then he restarted, rebuilt, and got $50,000 in the bank and got a new house. Guess what happened to the new house? Burned. 2 houses in a row on fire. Can you believe that, right? Now, if any human being, including myself, I'll be like, how did I attract this into my life? What he failed to recognize, and when we started talking about it, it put things in perspective as to where he is right now. He is in such much bigger place in life right now. See, the house that you were in, as sad as that moment was, and thank God nobody got hurt in his family, that was containing him at an average that he was so much bigger than. And he was so blinded by the idea that you don't belong here. And then God, universe, higher power, are like, you know what? I'm going to burn this thing to the ground so you can see, because you clearly are not hearing me. You don't belong here. And then it happened again and again. Now he is in a much bigger, better, greater place in his life. And he's like, I get it. I was supposed to be in a much better place, So the law of relativity is think about it as an invisible human being next to you. And as you're walking, they keep throwing stuff right in front of you so you can trip and fall, just so they can teach you, look down every now and then and pay attention. And then when you master the art of looking down and identifying where you're walking, it's like that invisible person takes a stick and is like, here you go. And they swing right across and you get hit in the face. And you're like, what did I do? And they're like, well, you got to learn how to, sometimes you got to duck. Sometimes you got to stop, right? Like understanding the best way of growth is only through bad experiences. You ruined your credit before you learned how to fix it. You lost a car before you got a brand new, better one. You lost a job before realizing I don't belong in a job. So if you were to understand, identify, like I said, understand the rules of the game, you can literally bend the world to your hands. So I identify whenever something bad in the eyes of the masses is happening. Guess what goes through my mind? Oh, we're about to upgrade, baby. Yeah, bring it on, invisible man, wherever you are. I know you're about to throw a couple of rocks and it's gonna hurt, but I'm gonna learn real quick and I'm gonna grow from it. So the law of relativity is important. It is part of the universal laws of well-being. Now, it sucks while it happens. I'm gonna just say it as straight up. But that is the ultimate exam. And if you don't have it within you to overcome that exam, that's where law of persistence comes in. That's where law of patience comes in. Like all of those hidden laws are within that one law of relativity. So it is so important. Please don't say, God, why me? Look up and say, I got you. You try to teach me something new, you're gonna beat me up. But it's like a master in a taekwondo master class. They're gonna have to beat you up before you master those moves. You're not gonna just come in and master it. That's the art of mastery. And that's why I'm begging of you, you who is watching this, see that bad thing that you keep dwelling on is the best blessing that you have in your life. You are to identify its greatness. You are to internalize it and say, I'm going to take this, I'm gonna learn it. It's like a video game. If you ever played video games, you get the thrill after you pass that next stage. You're like, oh, I can't believe I just figured it out. We did it, right? It's life.
After the boss has killed you 15 times and you've had to go back and try.
Debbie is such a video game. Like I know you were.
I got two boys. Come on, I got two boys.
Without a doubt. No, that's good. So I'd like to hear the suckiest situations that you might have gone through in your career and how you used it in order to build a stepping stone towards your greatness.
I have so many.
I know.
I have so many. And a couple of things came to mind when you were talking. First of all, here's the deal: fail fast and furious.
Yeah.
Fail fast and
Double
furious.
your rate of failure. That's right.
Right, just go for it. But two stories came to mind. Number one, the guy with the house that burned down. Mine's were flood. Two houses flooded 4 times. Okay, completely destroyed, gutted 4 times. Right, and I won't go into that whole story, but I will sometime. But the lesson was clear, because on those houses there were obstacles all the way through in the building of this first house that I had all kinds of problems with. Now, there weren't just little red flags, okay? There were neon, blinking, flashing, stop, go back, don't do it, turn around. And Debbie said, no, we're going to power through this, right? And I went through every stop sign, red light, roadblock, and I've had, honestly, one thing after another, so that now it's funny. It's actually funny, because it's like, okay, I get it. But I've had the same thing in business. My very first traditional business, my brick and mortar business, was a clothing store. Here's the craziest thing. I didn't have a clue. I didn't even know how to buy clothes, right? I paid somebody to teach me, bought this whole kind of a store in a box. Literally, I basically bought a clothing store in a box, right? And learned really quickly, like, oh, I don't think I'm doing this right. I was overpaying for things, right? It was an epic failure. People that have heard my story, I worked my butt off for 5 years, right? Nonstop, because I actually wasn't prepared for that. I was not prepared, but I jumped and went for it anyway. So I had to learn all those 5 years, right? So guess what? I didn't become a millionaire. I didn't even become a 6-figure earner. I became a 6-figure loser. But guess what? I had a PhD, a PhD in don't do this, don't do that, do this, don't do that, right? And that is what every single experience is. And I've had endless. You guys know we were just in one. And here's the thing. We're all human. We're going to get that gut punch, right? We're going to feel that. We're going to feel the heartbreak a little bit. We're going to feel the punch. But it's flipping it and finding that silver lining and knowing for a fact that there is one. That's what you need to know. There absolutely is a silver lining in absolutely everything. Our job is to find it. Find that silver lining and learn from it and carry it to the next one. Because guess what? We're going to be failing to the end, right? And like Ali said, when you have those successes, man, they feel so good, right? You hear this talked about a lot of times when someone does pass, right? Suddenly you don't hear anything bad about that person anymore, right? You only hear the good things. And when I lost my mom, now my mom and I were extremely close and I adored her, but was everything perfect in our relationship? Absolutely not. We butted heads, we had issues, but once she was gone, all I remember is the good. It's all I remember is the good. Everything else that at the time felt negative, I now go, oh, wow, what a gift that was. What a lesson she taught me. What a lesson this, thing taught me. It's just all about finding those lessons and just allowing yourself to be human and feel it, right? Because guys, I don't care who you are. Don't deny it. I'm a positive person too. And but do I have my moments? You bet I do. I just want to get in and out of them as fast as I possibly
That's right.
Right.
Carlito.
What's up, man? So the whole thing is simply this, man. I mean, I can go back and back and back. Matter of fact, I back when I was being a bad boy in Austin, Texas, young guy, crazy friends, having a good time, doing some things I shouldn't have done illegally, and got kind of scary. And I ended up looking at a newspaper, took a traveling sales job. Me and my friend, my best friend at that time, and still is one of my big bros, went and the very next day. So it had got very, very bad. I'm not gonna go too far into it, but it got really, really bad. And literally, we signed up for this job, and they were like, "Hey, when you sign up, you gotta leave today." We were like, "Okay." so we actually ended up going to this traveling sales, selling magazines door to door, from state to state, and lived in hotels. Other people had sales meetings. It was my first time actually being exposed to that type of thing, and that's what really helped me to get into the sales field. So everything, that negative thing that could have probably put me in a bad situation and, you know, locked up or whatever, turned into something that led to where I'm at today and where I continue to stay at, which is in sales. The other thing is that when I went in the military, I never thought about going to the military. My dad did 24 years in the Army, and I was like, you know, I'm just gonna do my thing. I was just having fun. And so I found out that this young lady was pregnant that I was dating. And so me trying to do the right thing, I went in the military, right? Trying to be the guy that I need to be, the father that I need to be. And about a year and a half in, come to find out, I've been paying this girl every single month, right? For my allotments for my check in the military. A year and a half in, I found out not my son, right? So I had a son for a year and a half, guys. That was one story right there. And of course, from that right there, we learned our lessons that we need to button it up a little bit, zip it up, wrap it up.
Literally? Are we talking literally here or figurative? Okay, got you. Got it. Moving on. Sorry, immigrant alert. I want to make sure we're on the same frequency here.
Yeah, so we can go on, man. I've got stories galore, man. I experienced a lot in my short time on this earth, but
I'll tell you what,
things, man.
I appreciate you obviously sharing that story, and I feel like that was a Your Strategic Partner show exclusive. That story has never been told before, and I've known him since 2011. So you do the math. No, that's awesome. You know, I'll tell you what. There's one last piece that I want to educate on, and it's taboo. It's frowned upon because of the ignorance of understanding it. It's something that we all get excited about or feel some type of way about. But before we do, I just want to remind everybody at the top of the hour, in about 12 minutes, we're going live in iamzoom.info, iamzoom.info, and we're going to go all out business fundamentals in every way, shape, or form. And I definitely want you to take advantage of that as well. So just join us. It's complimentary. It's free. Just show up. iamzoom.info, and you'll be getting the gold as well. So in the very last chapter of the book, Think and Grow Rich, why men seldom become successful before the age of 40. And there are 3 different elements that, and when they say men, obviously the book was written in like the late 20s, early 30s. Right. So obviously back then the conversation, the lingo was different, but obviously men and women. And there are 3 main pieces that you are to master and have between 30 and 55, maybe 60. If you can figure them out and you can manage them. And listen, some of us, there's a biological age and there's a good inner self age. Like, you know, I'm about to be 37 in about 5 days. And I genuinely feel like I'm 25. God's honest truth. And I'm never growing up, okay? I'm never going to grow up. Whomever's watching, I will never grow up. I'm a
Toys R Us kid.
Me either.
Forever.
He's never growing up because he's a Toys R Us kid.
Without a doubt. So there's 3 different areas in your life. If you were to master, and mastery is not knowing how to do something, is to have full control over it, right? Knowing when to use a knife or when to not use it, how slow or how fast. That's mastery of using a knife, right? So the very first element is the emotion of love. You have to have genuine, pure love in your circle, in your surrounding. Now, love doesn't necessarily mean spousal. Love could be a son to a mom, a husband to a wife, a brother to a brother, father to daughter, whatever it may be. But if you do not have that pure, genuine emotion of love in full operation throughout the whole day, I mean, even Christ himself says God is love, right? So when you think about that, like he equated the creator in one emotion, love. That's how powerful that vibration itself is. So, the best way I can describe it, remember the first time we held our children after birth? And you had this vibration, like this tinklish, like you couldn't explain it. You're like, I can't, the word is ineffable. The word ineffable means unexplainable. You can't put it into words, right? So it is an ineffable emotion, but it is the most powerful emotion that exists, is love. So you have to figure out a way to create it, have it, keep it around you, keep the people around you fully engaged in the concept of love, because love clears all. Love purifies everything. Love brings a sense of harmony. Love gives us clarity. It gives us empathy. It gives us those good sides of the emotion, right? So that's the first one. The second one, and this is where we get a little silly, is sex. Now, when you hear the word sex, we automatically go to sexual activity. We go to the biology part of it, the physical. That's the ignorance understanding of it. See, sex is the most active sense of vibration in your body. I mean, not for nothing, kids. Welcome to your scientific biological lessons. Your brain itself wanders, and women, you're good at it. You're just enjoying yourself. Men, we're like, think about the milk. Think about the milk. Don't focus. Think about the milk. No, it's too late. Here's the thing. Your creative juice is so powerful. Your law of vibration, your law of attraction is so powerful during that emotion. You feel it throughout your whole body. Your real-time perpetual transmutation of energy happens in real time. Your hands sweat. Everything is just totally in the moment changing. If you can create that very same vibration without the actual sex act, you can tap into any creation level that you would want. That very same genius starts to happen. What does that mean? I don't have to get myself in a physical, sexual situation in order for me to get into that frequency. But if I can meditate and understand, how did my mind wander and get into this, crazy place? Because let me keep it real with you. When you're in the act, sometimes you find yourself thinking about some crazy things, right? Like good or weird. I know, Tokoyo. I saw that little smirk. I get it, brother. It's like, Ali, all right, can we move on? We get the point. I'm gonna move on.
Careful, women make grocery lists.
Yeah, exactly. So, oh my God, that's good. So again, very, very important to tap into that very level of vibration. So what do? You got to get yourself so excited. Really, this is why you see Tony Robbins, he preps by getting on a trampoline and gets in such a really crazy, he gets all of his body to shake, to move, ecstasy almost, right? So you have to figure out that very same feeling that you have when you are in a sex act. That's the physical part of it. But at the same time, can you tap into that very same frequency without the act itself? So that's just to teach you the emotion, the feeling of it itself, right? Now, last but not least, romance. Romance is very, very important because romance gives you purpose. If you look at the history of any legendary, successful individuals, whomever they were, whether they were married or not, Oprah Winfrey, she's not married, but she does master the sense of romance with what's his name, Stedman Graham. Yeah, him. So Tony Robbins has a very healthy public romantic relationship with his wife. You see me compliment my wife all the time, right? It gives a sense of purpose. It gives that reason why. It gives it the sense of, I don't want to fail you. I will do everything with you. Men are more inclined to lean on romance for their activity, whatever motivates them, good or bad. There are men who steal just so they can impress a woman on a dinner night, right? And there are men who would lie and not admit that they're struggling just so they don't lose that sense of romance, because romance is different for different individuals. Women like the sense of warmth, comfort, security. Men equate romance to respect. See, a man would feel that you love him just because you respect him, that you listened and, you allowed him to speak his mind, and you didn't say, what are you doing? You're always doing stupid stuff like that. You don't even know what you're doing right now. Now, to us, She doesn't love me. She said, I don't know how to use a screwdriver, right? Like we get so dramatic, but all there was to it is you're just looking out. That's your way of showing I love you and I care about you, right? Like, listen, I'm gonna keep it real with you. You know how many times my wife was like, don't forget to brush your teeth. I'm like, yeah, I do all the time. She's like, I know, but you just had lunch and you're about to go straight in the car. Go brush your teeth. And like, here's what I do. I'm like, I mean, can you be nice about it at least? She goes like, I'm just looking out. What do you want me to tell you? But she was really looking out. But me, it translated as lack of respect. Anyways, my point being, figure out how to master those three pieces: romance, sex energy. I didn't say sex activity. Sure, you can do that too, fellas. All right. But sex energy and then love. If you have those three elements, you are in the highest form of creation. Just so you know, every sub law falls within those three emotions, by the way, or those three energies. So just work at it. All right. Somebody's going to listen to this audio or video right now. And look, listen, young lady, if your husband is telling you right now, babe, it's time to go, that's not what I'm saying. He's trying to take advantage and bend the rules. Okay. You know how guys are. A guy's brain operates 60 to 70% on sexual thoughts. That's why we can't freaking help ourselves when a beautiful woman is passing by. We look. We don't matter. Like our brain is like sex. Like that's what happens, and that's why we do the wrong things most of the time. Anyways, I don't know why I'm
learn those love languages. Learn those love languages.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. Well, listen, I know it's 6:57 and we're about to bring the heat in a couple of minutes. 30 seconds each, starting with Tokoyo. What are you expecting from this 90-minute webinar?
I'm expecting value. I'm expecting someone to learn and get whatever they need to take their self, their business to the next level. So again, with that, we're sending it over to the next.
Yeah, I'm expecting some authenticity, some value, guys. Where we really want some engagement with you when we have the Q&A, and we're just going to bring it. We're going to bring it and help and pour into you and help everybody level up.
Level up, level up, level up. I am Zoom.info right now. Let's go. We're about to bring the heat for 90 minutes. Everything business development essentials, everything social media, everything personal development, everything operations, everything organizations, and a whole lot of Q&A. We'll see you in a little bit. Love you and appreciate you. Until next time, tell them peace out, everybody.
Peace out.